I say I know, but you know. But yeah, we got behavior. We got behave. Cuban Libre. It's a party weekend. Y'all be safe. Yes, we got a couple of places to go, a couple of people to see. So see y'all then. It's your time to shine. We going.
The views and opinions expressed on this talk show do not reflect the management and staff of 102.7 FM, The Riddim.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Hey, that's rock! And stand in the way! Hey! You can't stop change! On the other hand, one of the worst things about life is everything changes, even good things. We stress out on many things that we can't control. It makes us lose our bearings, forget the goal. We can't change the weather, the future of people's minds, but yet we focus on them all the time. We must accept the things that we cannot change. Try to stop pointing fingers at us and the blame. Courage is needed to fix what we can. Use wisdom to know the difference, be a better man. Cause it is what it is. Ain't nothing you can do. Yes, it is what it is. Don't let it bother you. Man, it is what it is. Some things you can't control. Yes, it is what it is. Just give it your heart and soul. Sing! Oh yeah! Let's go! Benchmark! And stand! And there be so much time. We wish we had more. Just go to the gas station or any food store. Discouraged and angry when we see a bill. Feels like we live in life climbing a hill. We got to bear down and put our shoulder to the wheel. And pray it don't last too long cause we don't like how it feels. Hey, but it is what it is. Ain't nothing you can do. Real talk, it is what it is. Don't let it bother you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Riddim Nation. I just want to tell you guys thank you for tolerating me for 2 weeks, and this may be my last show, not my last show on the on It Is What It Is, but my last show hosting it for these 2 weeks. But I hope I'll be back on It Is What It Is, even as a drop-in visitor, and I hope that in the next week or so we could work together to actually be having me talk directly to you from an economic standpoint and from a Grand Bahama development standpoint. I want to thank you, Grand Bahama. I want to thank you, Bahamas. I'm totally impressed I can tell you for the 2 weeks that I've been here, in the reach that the Riddim Nation, the enormity of the Riddim Nation, not just here on Grand Bahama, but actually across the Bahamas. Thank all of you for the support. Thank all of you for what you have done in encouraging me to continue and to actually please don't go away. So I'm gonna promise you that I'm not gonna leave you. I'm gonna stick with you, and that we're gonna do what is necessary to actually build a better country, to build a better Bahamas, and to build better personal economies. So let's start with our prayer. Loving Father, grant us the serenity in the midst of chaos. Calm our anxious hearts. Grant us inner peace. Help us trust in your plans, knowing that you are in control. Help us to live the life you intended for all of us. Amen. Well, this morning we're going to talk about energy, resilience, and independence as well. What's the word I was looking for? Basically, the resilience is the ability to sustain. Independence is to be able to not depend as much on outer source and continuity or abundance, whatever it is. And the effects of the economy on our personal lives and on our personal economies, as well as the national economy, more so for Grand Bahama. They say Grand Bahama is the lifeblood of the economy of the Bahamas. Basically, we're the heart of supposed to be of the new economy. And we have been basically suffering from heart attacks, comatose, something that does not allow us to grow. And we're going to revive ourselves to make ourselves the best little place in the best little country in the world, the Bahamas. We're going to make Grand Bahama. Not even Freeport. We're going to make Grand Bahama the capital or the second capital of the Bahamas. And it is possible. And we're not talking years or decades long. We're talking literally, we could begin to feel the effects for months. You know, like they say, you have a headache, you take an aspirin, the pain doesn't go away immediately, but you could feel it subduing, slowly subduing. And that is what we have to be, not just for ourselves, but for the wider Bahamas, to be what is necessary for everything. Now, hey guys, I just want to say to you guys, today is TGIF. And, if I tell you what the women say that mean, but you can take whatever you want, but it says goes in first. You usually talk with the other one. so take it what it is. That's my little private joke for you guys, okay? Come goes in first. So, look, let's get back to business. Energy is the lifeblood of every economic model in existence in the world today. And you hear so many people talk about what is necessary, what can happen, what is the potential for Grand Bahama, but you never hear them talk about what it requires. What is the fuel? That's the best way to describe it. What is the fuel of the 21st century? And a lot of people will take an argumentative role with the new advent of AI. It's not a new advent, the new awareness for the world in the last 4 years since November of 2022, that, AI and data. I've talked about data being the fuel for a long time, but I should have talked about data being the engine. And I guess the new refinement of the conversation is data is the engine of the economic vehicle, but energy is the fuel that drives it. And so as we talk about these various different economic models, we talk about smart homes and smart businesses and smart communities and smart cities and smart island and a smart country. The economy that drives or thrives within those environments is the economies we talk about. One of the major economies, I want you to remember the word aquamarine economy. I'm going to come back to that. But let me give you some of the different economic models that has been mentioned by our leaders over the last 12 years about what is coming, what is possible. And for 12 years of the last 12 years of the 21st century, they've been saying, prepare yourself, prepare yourself, prepare yourself. But they have never provided you with the blueprint for which you could read to see where the rooms are going to be, so you could basically decide which room you want to be in, or it's the plot of land. And we've talked about the digital economy, the conceptual economy, the knowledge economy, the aquamarine economy, which I want you to pay emphasis on, the platform economy, the passion economy, the carbon economy, the green economy, the blue economy, the ocean economy, the orange economy, the internet economy, the knowledge-based economy, which is different from the knowledge economy, the data economy, the platform economy, the shared economy, the silver economy, the circular economy, the climate economy, the gig economy, the crypto economy, the AI economy, the technology economy, the infrastructure economy, the blockchain economy, the energy economy, and the tokenization economy, among others. You have heard these directly from leadership over the last 12 years. Each one in the announcement and pronouncement about what is possible and what they can do and everything else. And I ask you to reflect and say to yourself, ask yourself, have you seen a policy paper for any of these different models? Have you seen frameworks? Anything that has been done for us to be able to execute this? We've heard them talk about a subsector, these call it subsector economy models, such as fintech, regtech, souptech, property tech, health tech, blockchain, edtech, medtech, biotech, govtech, insurtech, legal tech, tradefi, procure tech, data tech, travel tech, agritech, and playtech. Have you seen a single policy paper in the last 20 years for the 21st century? Okay, 25 years at 20. Have you seen a published policy paper on any of these? Have you seen the framework published framework on any of these. What about, they say you have legislation, right? You have legislation, regulation, rules, policy, procedures, process, protocols, and programs. Those are the things government is responsible for. And I ask you that, have you seen any of this? The Bible, it says, how do you must measure the cost before you begin. And so this is what these things do. It actually lays out what it's going to cost. It tells you the gap analysis that basically tells you where you are, where you should have been, and where you could be from where you are today. Do you know of a gap analysis that exists anywhere for you to read and gauge? It's like a map. You know how you people say, I don't know, I'm supposed to be going this place and that place, but I don't know exactly where I am. It's pausing and hitting Google to find out where you are, and then hitting take me from here to there to draw the point so you can start navigating. Does that exist for anything in the Bahamas? Does it exist for energy? Does it exist for housing? Does it exist for the hospitality economy that we say is the number one? But economically now it's slid to number two because construction has moved in as number one, even though you may not feeling the construction sector here in Grand Bahama. The next question you have to ask yourself is, where is the map for financial services? The new roadmap that you see being disrupted every single day, where is it? We don't have any. And so this is where we have to begin to demand from our leadership the concept that we always demand. We say we want transparency, accountability, integrity, anti-corruption, and freedom of information. Well, you can't sit and wait for these things to happen. You have not, because you have demanded not. And so, it's like sitting at home waiting and hoping and planning to win the lottery, but never buying a ticket. It doesn't work that way. So we have to look at deciding that we want to be different. We want to have Grand Bahama reimagined. I use the word re-AI-imagined, right? So you just put the I, you put the A in the front of the imagine, the re-AI imagine, because we're in a new world. We must remember the future punishes incrementalism. The future punishes incrementalism. But for us to guarantee the future, we must collectively create it. Yes, you will make some individual economic decision for your own individual economy. Sorry about that. But you must have information, proper information. So they say, and how else are you going to make preparation? And the concept is that proper prior preparation prevents piss poor performances. Proper prior preparation prevents piss poor performances. And I'm simply saying is that you can't prepare to even know the resources. If you say, let's look at this building a house. How do you want to build a house with no blueprint? That's not a house. That's a shanty town or whatever it is. You're just going to randomly get some wood, some cement, some tarp, some this, whatever. You must have the blueprint to know the tools, the ingredients, or the supply chain, all of the different things you need. So when you hear leadership telling you to prepare yourself, but never tell you what to prepare for, nor say they're going to lead you, but they can't provide you a roadmap to where you're going, where they're going to lead you to, verbally, or most importantly, written, so that if something happens to them, you will have the blueprints, you will have the directions, you will have the map to continue without them. Because if the vision for developing a country, developing a island, and developing even personal economies is less than 5 years, then you must be well over 100 years old and you're planning your demise. So it has to be properly executed, properly thought about. The problem is that we have been living in an environment of survival, learned helplessness, codependency, because the systems have not worked for us. Yesterday I spoke about coloniality, where we depend on systems that has been outdated since the 19th century, even having living through the 20th century of them being ignored and struck down. But here we are in the 21st century, depending on 19th century concept that has been abandoned in the 21st century. I can arguably make a statement by observation, whether it's listening and seeing. We have our current leaders, we have 20th century leaders embracing 19th century concept to lead a 21st century country. We have 20th century leaders embracing 19th century concepts, attempting to lead a 21st century country. And so, go back to the sidebar of the aquamarine economy. The aquamarine economy is an architecture for a new economic models that crosses, amalgamates, combines about a dozen economic models into one cohesive model that has been accepted globally as a new viable model for the Bahamas and the Caribbean and the region, as probably the world. It was expressed by Warren Miller in the House of Assembly doing his 2024 budget contribution. He mentioned this and he went through the number of the resources, probably about 20 or 30 of them, how they integrate into it. And he ran out of time to tell you how the technological aspect of it. What I want you to know is that once he would not have spoken to this in the House of Assembly unless it was true and verifiable, because it's on the record of the Hansard today. The aquamarine economy model was designed by myself and my wife, Eden Mary Johnson. But it is being explored and being studied globally, but we have not discussed it nationally or even locally. And it's a unique opportunity. And it's one of those things that we've worked at for the last 7 years, that I talk about you about building this arc that we have. But the opportunity still exists as long as you have bread for you to redefine the opportunities that's available to you. The most important thing for you, though, is to have access to the right information at the right time and the resources that is necessary for you to bring that about. And the number one aspect of that is affordable, sustainable, resilient energy supply. And you see the crisis, and the Prime Minister has admitted that BPL is on the verge of collapse. And it has, and I'm going to bring this home to Grand Bahama as for us to understand with the Grand Bahama Power Company, where we've been told we've spent $200 million for the power company, and we have $80 million sitting in reserve to upgrade the infrastructure. I'm assuming the power generation aspect. I'm not going to spend time today to debate the validity of whether or not we should have purchased it, or whether the $80 million is sufficient to bring about the generation capacity that we need, because there are also alternatives. And we have yet to hear what exactly is the strategy for energy on Grand Bahama. I can tell you a number of us have experienced multiple blackouts, which we have not before this transaction happened. And it can naturally be assumed that the same people that was there before the purchase is there now. But one of the things that you'll find out for this imminent collapse of the economy, I want you to know that New Providence accounts for 72% of the economics of the Bahamas. And so when you have power outages, it has to be understood that power outages is an unknown tax on businesses and you. It's an unknown tax because those interruptions cause business not to function, damages equipment, and just adds chaos to the environment. And so it may seem as though the power is off a couple of hours. Not here in Grand Bahama yet. Hopefully you'll never get to that. But those hours and days of having no energy for businesses, those are lost productivity. Just if you're making $10,000 a day in a multi-million-dollar company, even if you're off 1 or 2 days, you don't lose just $10,000 a day. You lose the momentum of where you were moving towards. It costs almost a daily economic reset in your business, and that has a cascading effect throughout the economy, no matter what it is. As I say to you, businesses do not pay electricity bills. They do not pay water bills. They do not pay insurance. They don't pay for cable bills. They don't pay for any of these. And the way they don't pay for these is because it is incorporated into the prices of their goods and services. No business says they're going to just sell it for this, and I'm not going to account for my electricity. I'm not going to account for my water. I'm not going to account for my energy. I'm not going to account for my insurance. I'm not going to account for my mortgage or rental. All of that is incorporated into the price of the business. Then the payroll is in there too. All of that is what you pay for. But ultimately, you pay the energy bills. And so when we have a price that is not sustainable based on others in the region, or not even in the region, because we don't need to always compare ourselves to the performance of others to gauge what we can do. And so success, and let me think through. Success is how well you have done based on what you are capable of doing, not compared to the failures of others. Success should be judged, should be measured by what you are capable of doing, as opposed to how well you have done comparative to the failures of others. Because as we often do, you can always, no matter how bad you're doing, you can generally find someone doing better than you. So today, because of your lackluster performance, you get to make the argument that, well, this other country, they're doing worse than us. And then when your performance becomes so lackluster again, worse than the company you last compared yourself to, you go find another country who's doing worse than both of y'all. To basically say, well, we're doing better than this people. Well, you might as well say you're doing better than everybody until you're dead, except for the dead. The problem that is that when you use these shifting goals and posts, you can't measure your development, because one day you say you don't know whether you went 1 feet or 1 mile, because you keep changing the goal post, the starting post, the point of measurements. And so what we have to do is we have to individually and collectively as a community decide what is it we want to be, where it is we want to go, how it is we want to get there, and the tools that is necessary for us to achieve it. And again, it comes back to energy. The energy crisis on New Providence should scare us. I don't know if people remember that they are now saying we have $500 million legacy debt in BPL. And from my estimation, and the data that's available, is closer to 1 to 1.2 billion. And this is after they already found the resources to pay $300 million of the legacy debt. We still have $1 billion legacy debt. That is a bill that you have to pay. I don't care if you don't live on New Providence, you have to pay that bill. That is a debt that we have cumulatively accumulated. We have to pay that. And that is not what is necessary for a new grid. The grid is beyond end of life. And the reason for that is the lack of the resources, the economics to build it. We have been patching and patching and patching for decades. And now we are beyond the age of patching. We've been buying new parts. You know, when you look at the energy grid on New Providence, it's kind of your engine is going, your transmission is going, your alternator is going, your starter is going, the radiator is leaking and everything. And then we make major announcement that we just got a new starter, which doesn't change the efficiency or the strength or the dependency of the entire vehicle. And so when government make these announcements and the rapid supporters and fanatics and trolls begin to promote it, it's the same as you saying, I have transmission problems, radiator problems, alternator problems, starter problems, all of these problems, and they want you to focus on the fact that they got a new starter. And they even need to replace the battery, you know. The battery's still too weak for the starter to turn over. And that's what we have to get past continuously doing, is celebrating small initiatives and trying to disguise them as actually success. And until we can, as I often repeat, we seek to manage that which we cannot measure, and we will never be able to measure that which we refuse to acknowledge. You cannot manage what cannot be measured, and you cannot measure what you refuse to acknowledge. And so we have to look at it. And I don't know if any of you check the internet, check the newspapers on their online sites, and see the crisis. Go back retroactively and see how the story shifts. Even today, the Prime Minister is blaming 2 administrations back, where he should be blaming the previous administration. And if you want to look at the last 15 years, and I'm speaking about governance, so you PLP trolls fanatics, wrap it up. But please, feel free to call in. 688-1027. 688-1027. Is it 1027 or 47? 27. All right. 688-1027. Call in the Riddim. Please call in. Oh, by the way, share this with them. Share this live with them. And call in. I'm talking about governance. Governance for the last 15 years. And I'm going to go back 15 years. Governance for them. I'm going to give Oblige to Perry Christie first term and Ingram last term return. Let's look for the last 15 years. Prime Minister Philip Davis, 15 plus years ago, just a little over 15 years, in 2012, assumed the responsibility as Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works with responsibility for BPL. It was actually Bahamas Power and Light then. The name was changed to BPL under their term. And he was responsible for building, restoring, or creating a new grid for 5 years. Then came the F&M from 2017 to 2021. Then from 2021 to 2026, Mr. Philip Brave Davis, who had intimate knowledge of the BPL infrastructure, or the entire Outer Island infrastructure, knew, because he's the one who created the strategy. He had 5 years to address it. And what we are having now is excuses. Excuses are the tool of the incompetent who build foundation of nothingness. If you were in part of $1 billion company that had power issues and you were not able to resolve it in 10 years of your leadership, you would be classified as beyond incapable, inept, and incompetent. The problem is that for BPL and our energy grid, we have no strategy except for dispersed certain viable aspect that that BPL will eventually have to depend on, which is power generation to family, friends, lovers, foreigners, and supporters. That has been our program. It is almost as if though this car is about to fall apart and individuals are running around laying claim to the tires and to the radio and to the AC that's still the fire that's still running, and I really like those rims there that can be mine and everything. They lay into it, but nobody's paying attention to the engine. Nobody's paying to the engine. And so we talk about these PPPs and these solar connectivity that's being done. This is the power generation. But the bad thing about it is we are signing 25-year agreements to pay for solar the same price we pay for oil, the surcharge. And we're locking that in for 25 years. So the fact that you could generate solar energy for 5 cents a kilowatt and you're locking it in for 15 and 20 cents for the next 25 years, as solar technology advance and it goes to 3 cents and 2 cents, or the fact that we could generate it for ourselves, we're now locked in for 25 years to the 20 cents a kilowatt hour, to the 18 cents a kilowatt hour, because we signed contracts for 25 years. Why would not a forward-looking position to tell investors if you want to get it, but this is guaranteed that they will make this money whether we have the ability or not. But I am one, and I've always believed that we should surrender the energy generation in our country to a sovereign asset management company where government does not have the ability to interfere with it. We don't have to sell ourselves or soul. In the same way, we can buy expertise. Caller, you on there?
Yeah, good morning. I think the problem is, especially with Freeport, Bahama, former people who were instructed to develop Freeport, they had a plan that had developed the land. They had everything map out and planned for a future where they see before, so it was planned. And now we in an age where nothing is being developed. We have leaders who are in charge with no vision for the future, no growth. All around the world, you see Orlando, Disneyland, stuff. They continue to improve their infrastructure for things that would to come. China, America, but we just continue to live off the old of the people who put the things in place before. No improvement, no development, no future. And I think that's an issue, especially when you come into the power company. And you know, because we have schools and classes. People come from NASA to do the tech camps for our kids to develop future engineers and future people and stuff. And that's where we lack. We're educating the people to move forward and let go of the past and try and improve on what we have. But
just hold on, don't hang up yet. You're absolutely correct in that. But the problem is that when they don't have, it's because they are subject to us, and that's because we have chosen not to provide it to them. Because I do believe the collective intelligence of all of us is always going to be superior just to some of us. And they are the sum of us. But when we elect them, they are to be our servants. And even for the Grand Bahama Port Authority, who have moved into a literal do-nothing state for the last 50 years, and I will accept arguments on that. And we saw that in their arguments. We saw that in their arguments in the arbitration and the ruling of the arbitration saying who was responsible. Now, government is responsible because it says the Grand Bahama Port Authority lost that authority for the fact that they did nothing to exercise it for that period of time. So this is not something that I'm saying. It is something that has been ruled as a fact. But let's go back to the point that you make about...
But hold on 1 second. When you talk about the roads, you remember when sanitation used to clean the roads and the roads to be smooth, and you go look in Grandmama now, you see the conditions of the roads and stuff around the development. Nothing is being done. They increase for garbage collection and stuff.
Yes.
So, and still, well, am I saying, I don't see the landscaping taking... I remember the Princess. You know, people come from all around the world just to take pictures in the front of the park there with the lake and stuff and everything, and the ducks and stuff and everything. We're going backwards. We're going backwards as a country.
But you know what it is? It's actually not actually necessarily backwards. It's actually deterioration, like rotting fruit. And we have to get up and maintain it. But requires, and I encourage you, and you will be surprised at the power of 5. It's called Adopt 5. In fact, it was used by Obama to get elected. If you find 5 individuals who feels the need for change, who feels the need to take action, just 5, and you encourage those 5 to duplicate what you want to do of coming together. By the time you reach 5, you'll have 25, 125, 3, 25. 5 times that is 125. 5 times that is 625. 5 times that is 3,000 something. And then when you reach the fifth finger, that's 15,000 people. That's the power you have of influence right now. If you take the time to find 5 individuals. And so what it does is that when we come together in groups of 5, 10, 50, 300 individuals, when each of these groups of 300 come together and meet, we can force the action that is necessary. And when they don't know the legislation, the regulations, or the policies or programs and things to do, we can begin to say, as employees, these are things we want you to implement, because the intelligentsia is greater outside of those leaderships in the Grand Bahama Port Authority or in government than in. As I said, the sum of all of us will always be greater than just a few of us. And so I encourage you to begin today. You don't have to look at tomorrow. Today is the day that we start by organize yourself in groups and take down my contacts: 825-9700, 825-9700, 825-9300, and just reach out to me and let's have a conversation. Let me direct you if you don't know what you're doing, for us to begin to organize and we come together like a pod.
I do believe Bahamians like me and others have ideas that could propel this country further, and advance it in a different direction. Take about we have all these mangroves and all these stuff and everything. So why no one has ever developed a farm for lobsters and fish and stuff and shrimp and all these other things and stuff and everything? Why we have all these things at our disposal and we don't use it?
Right. Yeah. And actually, and you're absolutely correct. But the thing, it requires us though to expand our circle. Like I told you, I encourage you to expand your circle. Reach out to us. Let's create this mastermind alliance, almost like a honeycomb, where each of these little containers all interconnect to create a greater hive, a hive mind, a mastermind. And I'm saying to you, we can bring about the change that is necessary. And at the next calling, if these group of people don't fall in line, we know the choices that we have to make. But also, by doing this, guess what we get to do? We get to choose from amongst us, not who they send us. And that's the greatest thing about, if we begin to know who amongst us is quite capable, then we can choose from amongst us rather than who they send us. And that's the most powerful decision we'll have to make. Thank you so much for calling.
I agree with you.
Any other callers want to call in? Feel free to call in 888-1027, 688-1027, 688-1027, 688-1027. Call in, let's have the conversation. But when we go back to the energy, I kind of slipped where I was. When we go back to energy, the point that he made concerning the mangroves and lobster farming, and I don't want to dwell. Okay, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to lock my thought in. Caller, you on the air.
Yeah.
Turn on your radio. Turn on your radio, please.
Yeah, it is right?
Yes, it is what it is. Yes.
I can say something. I'll tell you something now.
I'm still getting the feedback. Hold on a second. I'm getting the feedback. Turn on your radio or stand back away from it.
Okay. I just want to get with the power company. The government bought the power company, right?
Yes, we did.
Now, the government bought the power company. Do they still supposed to be running off the same old system that they have there, what was there, or they supposed to change it? Because
No.
I thought that now it's the government, and the government are the people.
Well, the only thing, but the government is the people. But here's the thing: the government just bought the system a few weeks ago, maybe 2 months, right? So what happens is it takes the time to transition. But the first thing, and they appointed this board, the first thing you do is you don't just go and say, I'm going to change things, is you develop a strategy and ask for input, what is necessary to assess where we are and where you're going to go so that you can build forward. The problem is that we have not done that. I know a board has been appointed. I don't know if they have met. I don't know if they'll ever meet or just simply be sitting there and taking instructions from New Providence. But again, the most powerful thing you said is that we are the government, we are the people. your silence is what gives them consent. And when I say your, I mean you personally. I'm talking about you, me, and all other people. Is what gives them consent to continue along this line. And so
Yes, because what happened is, if they, okay, in the power bill, it's live. You feel me? It's live because, let me tell you, I went there numerous times, twice one day, asked them about my power bill. Asked them to come and change their meter. No. Asked them my pole was catching a fire. My house was starting to go catch a fire. I told them come. I called them over and over. They don't want to come. So when I come home one day, my neighbor said, "George, your house can't get burned out." So I run outside and turn the breaker off. You hear me?
Yes, you
and
do.
I go back to them. And I tell them, I say, could you all come change my meter and everything? Because I got too much power going into my house. You understand? I keep on blowing all of my surge protectors. If your surge protector is 240 and you have more than 240 going inside of in your house to blow them surge protectors, your meter gets faulty also. I talk to them over and over. They get them. I pay them. They come do their own job. And when the man come 2 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, they come change, come fix the power. He say, he ain't see no problem. So when I say, he say, do you have an iron or microwave? I say, yes. He say, go plug. I say, I can't see. I say, you guys plug it in. So when he plug it in, the one who's outside in the rain, they come in the rain. That's how
in the rain at night. Okay.
Yes, rain at night. So I told him, I say, it's done 10 o'clock in the night. You have to leave it till in the morning. I said, really, because if something happens, do not say y'all come to George. Really. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So when he turned the bike up, then he said, oh, I find the problem. But he was just saying there's no problem.
Right.
So the whole neutral wire already burned up outside.
See, this is...
6 at night, so I went to the power company and I explained that to them. You feel me?
Right, but you don't have to explain it. Let me just pause for a second. You don't have to explain. What you have to do, the most important strength you have, is to document in writing. We often like to go and tell them what our problem is. And when we begin to file our complaints, but what we have to do is with Urka. Hi, Urka, how you doing? Listen to me a second. This is your responsibility, as well as we must advocate for the power company, to have a public listing of complaints. So you'll know when the complaint happened. The public listing of incidents, not where you have to go search for it. A public billboard, a public place of keep the records where you could go and see incidents, whether it be power fluctuations, browning, blackouts, whatever, as well as complaints made by individuals and when they were resolved. You don't have to put the person's name. But if you begin to see, we have to ask for these. And we know that the Bahamas is in an energy crisis. But let's change Grand Bahama first. Us. Like you say, let's fix ourselves.
Could I tell you one more thing?
Yes.
Okay. Last year, I went to Nassau to go get my eyes fixed, right?
Yeah.
In June, I got a bill for $371, right? My light bill always be $70, $60. Only me one living in the house. You understand me?
Yes.
So, and that was in June. Then July, so I asked them, how come my bill jumped from $70 to $371? They don't know. So then after July comes, I get another bill there for $376. So now listen to me now. I go on back and I said, look, what's going on? What are you doing? Oh, that's your bill. I said, that ain't my bill. I said, look at what my bill is. So she go on back a couple of months. She said, oh, I see your bill only be $70, $80, that's it. So I said, where these bills come from? I say, you know something? I go in Nassau. I say, when I come back, if you want to turn the power bill off, that's almost $600, $800 I leave there. Now, I leave $200 there on the bill. I go on Nassau. I tell my neighbor, I say, could you plug out my fridge, turn off my breaker home, take everything out of my fridge, all the meat, whatever, carry them home. I go on Nassau. You listen to me, Mr.
Yes, sir, I'm listening.
I went Nassau to get my eyes fixed, right? To try to get my eyes fixed. When I went there to get my eyes fixed, when I come back, I tell the lady, just stop by the power company to see, let me see what my power bill is. When I come back there, I say, come to check my power bill. Let me see what my power bill is. They say, you know, they tell me, we don't have no power bill for you. You hear me?
Yeah. What do you mean we don't have any?
Say,
yeah.
Listen, say, we don't have no power bill for you. said the only bill we have for you is only bill we have for you is just service bill. That's it. Your meter. So I say that was September.
Right.
I come back on the end of September, August, and go pay my bill. I mean, October. When I come back, they tell me, say, I don't have no bill there. They have a credit for me. I pay no money till this year, April, from last year. They tell me that they have a credit for me. So they were stealing from me all that time.
Yes, they most likely. But here's the thing: what you need to do, right? And you can reach out to me, and I want to apologize a lot. So many people since I came on the show for the last 2 weeks have reached out to me that it's been totally, and I try to listen to everybody. So what happens is time has gotten away from me. No, just give me a second. I'm talking not just to you but to others. Time have gotten away to me because when you call, I can't, if you want me to allocate 5 minutes to everybody, then guess what? You'll have 5 minutes to tell me your problem. But I'm just telling people that if I haven't gotten back to you or whatever else, it's because I am trying to readjust to this thing. Because so many things have happened from the last 7 years in my role as a full-time activist and advocate that's why I said in one of the shows, I did not know it has gotten so bad out there. But
It's worse. It's getting worse.
But let me tell you what I want you to do, though. I want you to reach out to me, right? But what you need to do is whatever the power company did for you, and you have a right to have your complete history explained to you. Because don't keep it in your memory. Get it in writing. What exactly happened before and what happened now. And if most people don't know, you sign up for electronic billing, you could probably go back at least 5 years or longer and see all of your previous bills.
And the thing about it, Mr. Allen, let me one thing before you go on. This year, I go on to go get my bill. My bill was just June, right? My bill was only $80, $70. I go on to go get my bill the other day. When I go on to get my bill the other day, my bill jumped from $80 to $300.
Again.
I go on and then I ask the woman, I say, Miss, what happened for my thing? I changed it. She said, oh, well, this year time, so your bill always jump. I said, no, you're doing something wrong. I had to go back and check my bill. She refused to go back. They called the manager, and the manager refused to do it too. I said, Miss, you're doing wrong.
But here's what I want you to do, Judge. What they're doing is this. Because you were saying verbally, and you go verbally, and then when you go back, they can say, I didn't say that, you didn't say that, whatever else. That's why it's important to get your complaint in writing and make sure that they give you their response in writing. Because that is something you can take to IRCA as well as take legal action if it's their responsibility or whatever they're doing. And so document it. Document it. It doesn't take much to document exactly what happened once a month concerning your energy consumption, and any other complaint you have with any other organizations on Grand Bahama or in the Bahamas, whether it be the water company, whether it be the garbage company, whether it be the power company, or even the food stores and everything, document it in writing. And if you can't properly communicate, persons like myself, and I can get others to work in helping you put it down in the proper way to demand action. And so you will have a record of it. And there is a legal statutory requirement for when individuals have to respond to you, and you can take legal action. And they will be held liable for whatever it is they have done or failed to do. And I'm simply saying, document it. Let's start documenting it, Bahamas. Let's start making that demands writing. Okay? Thank you.
You're supposed to come to me anyway.
No, okay. As I'm saying to you, I will make it a point. The minute you said your name on the radio, I knew exactly who you are. So I'll definitely make a point to reach out to you. Thank you so much for calling.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. And so for the Bahamas, so when we talk, let's go back to this energy thing, and it's going to touch back on this Bahama Rock thing. In the back of Bahama Rock, which is owned by the Cement Company Limited, which is owned by not Bahama Rock, owned by the Cement Company. The 300 acres that Bahama Rock wants to develop comes with an additional 215 plus acres. And besides that, I think as much as 870 acres still is available behind that, leading all the way behind 8 Mile Rock, that they formerly mined. An analysis was done on not the area that Bahama Rock wants to mine, but on the properties that runs the length and the back of in the back of Bahama Rock. Not in the back of 8 Mile Rock. Got Bahama Rock on my mind because they gotta go. They gotta stop what they're doing. They have to actually. They should. Let me say something to Bahama Rock while it's there. If you really want and really concerned about Grand Bahama as a whole, meet with the community, meet with the community leaders, and let's have a conversation of sustainable development for this island. Not where you tell us what you're going to do, and if we don't like it, you will use brute force and influence and threats to get it done. That's not what corporate, irresponsible, concerned corporate entity does. You're a billion-dollar company. You would never get away with this in other countries, more so in the United States where you're based. You would not get away with what you do in practice. Just treat us like you do your other girlfriend. Just give us some respect. And more so that we have with your wife or other girlfriend, your other docile, where you are in the United States, can't get you. We got it. So have a conversation with the community. Let's see if there's a point that we can work together. We know that your dependency on what we produce or what we have in our possession is a make or break for Martin Marietta. We know there's enough of us that understands the economics of what is being done. And we know that the fact that from the time you came here, you've shut down all of your mining operations in the southeast of the United States. There's none left in Florida, none left in anything else. So please don't act like we don't know the importance of this $10 billion mother lode is to you. Yes, that's the value of it in Bahamian prices. If you take an estimate of 100 million tons or 200 million tons that can come from that particular area, and yeah, we know you still have your eyesight on Area 4, which brings the same amount of volume, $10 billion, not million, $10 billion, enough to retire our national debt. And then you come and you're promising us 85 jobs, and you say you will pay your bills while you're here. You have a $10 billion economic windfall. What do we benefit? Do we retire national debt? Do we develop an island, develop an economy? Because no matter how you talk about it, the fill belongs to us. And yes, we are questioning under what authority that you have to take the fill for what you say you're doing of doing a turning basin. It doesn't cost $10 billion to do a turning basin. It doesn't cost anything near the value of the resources you have taken out of the country to do what you have done. Please do not insult our intelligence in this 21st century. But let's go back to the unused property of the Bahama cement that runs all along in the back of 8 Mile Rock. It has been estimated that a solar farm, a solar city on that property would actually be, based on the mining, the pre-mining that's already happened there, would actually be Category 5 hurricane resilient because of the dips and whatever else for the wind loads and whatever. But it's also been estimated that approximately 178 megawatts of energy can be generated from that site alone. Literally free energy, for the exception of paying for the equipment that you have bought. 178 megawatts. Hold on, Colin, thank you. Just hold on 1 second for me, though. Let me finish make this point. So Grand Bahama itself, in its maximum capacity, has a need for 98 megawatts. That's what the current capacity is, or 100 megawatts. So here it is, just that area on Grand Bahama alone has the capacity of generating 178 megawatts, almost double the energy we need. That means we have enough energy to grow into. We can produce energy so low, companies around the Bahamas and around the world would fight to come to Grand Bahama for the low energy costs that can be competitive with the state of Florida, where you could call your friends and your families where they say they don't never turn off their AC, they keep their light on in the days trying to relight the line. We can be that in the shortest period of time. And the investment, like we say, is simply where when you build this resilient system, the power company the generation aspect of the power company becomes your backup generator rather than the reliant on the energy, where we were reliant on the green energy of, let's say, when we begin. If you add rooftops to it, we can generate close to 400 megawatts of energy on Grand Bahama alone, just by putting it on rooftop. If we actually put self-generating system in homes, we can actually drop turnkey, fully functional with battery generation in every single home on Grand Bahama for about $5,000 each. That's what the power of buying does. So where you no longer depend on the grid, we can have this conversation, but it requires leadership to understand. See, the problem is that when you have a carbon-based taxation system where the government itself depends on you consuming carbon, and when you eliminate the carbon consumption, which we currently do, because now every single person in Grand Bahama who say we can't afford a car and they burning up gas, guess what? You all can go find EVs for under $20,000, $25,000. If you make it duty free and watt free, we can have delivered EVs, brand new EVs, to individuals on Grand Bahama from $20,000 to $30,000 for some of you who like the bells and whistle, where you just plug in and generate electricity, where you could just drive and don't turn your car off for $20 or $30 a week. This is possible on Grand Bahama when we talk about energy security. But what happens is when you eliminate the taxes that government needs to make from the carbon or from the consumption of oil and everything, don't mind the talk. You have to have an economy that generate new income, new monies, new wealth, new salaries to tax. If you no longer have the ability to tax the oil, you have to have something else to tax, some new income to tax. So you have to simultaneously move away from it to reliable energy. At the same time, you have to build an economy. But it requires a master plan, not talk, thought. Not talk, thought. And so I say to you, let's have this conversation. And Bahama Rock, with $10 billion worth of aragonite that you want to carry, you could be the impetus to start us. You don't have to take all of it. We could design something around you. But the mere fact is, just think about this, Bahama Rock. We have canal systems and things, and that was part of a master design. Maybe we could talk about you finish those couple hundred canals that we need. You just won't find it all in one spot. But you sure enough could build what is necessary, because when we have power generation for 15 cents or so, all inclusive, all in, right? Trust me, homes going to be built. And they can want waterfront and canal front and all those things. They cost good aragonite. We have good aragonite everywhere. You're just seeing a leave us with one big 300-acre turning basin that we have no use for, 120 feet deep. But let's have about sustainable development. And if you don't do it, like I've said, we know what we have. The world knows what we have. And if you want to leave, I guarantee you somebody already booked their ticket waiting for you to say when you leave it. Caller, you're there. Please turn on your radio. Turn on your radio. Step back, please.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Why do they need to go in the back of 8 Mile Rock? If you having so much confusion, and the people
stop.
hold on, and the people saying that they don't want, the Bahamian people say they don't want it, right? And Hairborn Town, the people saying they don't want it. Why do they try to force your hand like this is their land? If they want this aragonite so bad, why they don't go all the way in the back of Queens Cove?
No, stop. See, sir, when you just, no matter where you destroy in the Bahamas, you're destroying the Bahamas. No matter where you dig. See, but what you have done is you have transposed two things upon each other. When we talk about going in the back, I spoke about going, right now they're talking about going into Wild Goose Town, Hebron Town. And we are going to fight to make sure that doesn't happen. They say why they want to go. No, the question we have to ask ourselves is, why would we allow them to go? They can't go without our consent. So we must stand up and stop what they want to do without consent. They're calling us slaves, you know.
I know. But we just a slave and a slave way.
No, but no, I'm not. This not. I want you to understand. This is not an anger discussion. This is a discussion of realization. What I'm saying to you is this: Bahama Rock cannot go into Wild Goose, Hebron Town without your consent. If you complain in your private and just stay angry without letting the leadership know, letting them know that you do not want this to happen, then it will happen. I'm saying to you, please, take action. Okay? And we'll talk about it when you call.
I just waiting on you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your call.
I am.
So what I'm saying, I'm running out of time, people, right? And I thank you guys once again for having me with you. But just let me finish this point. Where he transposed, I'm not talking about mining in the back of 8 Mile Rock. It has already been mined, for those who don't know, from the Bahama Cement Company. I'm saying to you that 800 acres that's available there can be converted into a solar city that transforms Grand Bahama. But at the same time, we remove the government's ability to tax. We must come up with a plan to grow the economy simultaneously. And I'm saying to you, this is not fantasy. This can happen. We just never talked about it. We never put people who have the ability and has the knowledge to come to the forefront. I'm saying to you, the opportunity is there right now for us to have this conversation. And I want you to know that I will be one of the leaders that's leading it. It may not be immediately next week, but I can show you within a week or two. I'm going to reach out back to you for you to come and support me on a separate platform away rather than this one it is. Thank you so much for having me with you. I love you all. Riddim Nation, your guys are the best. And Grand Bahama, you're the best. For those of you, reach out to me, 825-9700, 823-9300. And for those of you, let's stop Bahama Rock from continuing without a conversation. And let's engage our government. Let's engage the Grand Bahama Port Authority. And let's build a better island, a better country. But I want you to say what? The first thing we're going to do is build a better me. Repeat it. We're going to build a better me, which builds a better us. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Darren, for having me hosted. And until he returns on Tuesday, this is C. Allen Johnson screaming for Darren Cooper Live. See you all on Tuesday, or he will. Thank you so much for having me. I love you. I love you. Riddim Nation, I fell in love with you. I fell in love with you. I might even tour my station full time now. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Forget the goal. We can't change the weather, the future of people's minds, but yet we focus on them.